Good evening and welcome to Match of the Day at the end of a week in which our club sides have somewhat restored our faith in the product. We take a look at the form of the current First Division leaders, West Ham United, as they play at Stoke, and at the same time try to assess why the local club have not yet come up to expectations. Any ideas, Alan?
Well, Richie Barker thinks it's because his players failed to adapt to the more direct long ball approach that he introduced this season. His players think it was a mistake to change their style anyway, while the supporters here are just confused and frustrated by it all. So, with patience running short on all sides, this really is a game that Stoke can't afford to lose.
And it's only just October. And it's not really evident yet where the main challenge from the Midlands is coming from, but Aston Villa supporters would expect it to come from them. And we'll get some indication as they visit Luton Town, who last season survived by the skin of their teeth, but whose style and stars are eye-catching. Barry.
And their manager is an idealist, and the game needs them. There should be some interesting comparisons of style here, not least between Peter With of Aston Villa, the archetyping the centre-forward, and the darting Paul Walsh of Luton Town, who in fact celebrates his 21st birthday today. England manager Bobby Robson is among the crowd.
At the moment, maybe looking for a needle in a haystack. Later, we'll see the result of perhaps the best ever Goal of the Month competition. Meantime, news headlines from Bob.
It's been a day of shocks. Liverpool beaten at home. Manchester United surrendering a 3-goal lead. Brighton hitting 7 as the second division produces 53 goals. And sadly, Steve Coppell of Manchester United and England is told he has played his last game.
So let's go for the first time this season to the Victoria ground, Stoke. Somewhat depressed momentarily, but ready to face the challenge of the league leaders, West Ham United, and a rejuvenated favourite. Your commentator is Alan Parry.
Quite a weekend ahead for Trevor Brooking. It's his 500th league game for West Ham today, his 35th birthday tomorrow, and on Monday, who knows, he could be named in the England squad for that vital game in Hungary. Well, West Ham bring back Steve Whitten today following injury, and Paul Goddard is preferred to Tony Cottee in attack. Cottee becomes substitute. The home side Stoke City are beset by problems, and they make 2 changes. Skipper George Berry comes in at right back, an unusual position for him, and Paul Maguire becomes substitute to make way for the return after injury of Mickey Thomas. The referee is Brian Stevens of Gloucestershire. So the league leaders, West Ham, kick off attacking from left to right with 6 wins from their first 7 games this season. Their only defeat, in fact, came a couple of weeks ago in the Midlands at West Bromwich Albion. Stoke City, you'll notice, in a new style strip this season, the traditional stripes have gone, to be replaced by white shirts with red shorts. Oh, that was a mistake which could let Whitten in. Fox reacted well. The danger hasn't gone yet, though. Devonshire. And Stoke a little bit lucky to get away with that, and Peter Hampton will be relieved. It was his mistake that let Whitten through, and it was Fox's quick reaction that prevented a goal. Painter. Good challenge by McElroy on Stewart. And a tremendous battle, and Pike and Thomas exchange blows. Whitten's involved too. Robbie James pulling him aside, and the referee's got to take stern action here. That melee blowing up from the initial tackle by McElroy, and then players who weren't initially involved got involved. A lot of accusing fingers being pointed in all directions, but Thomas and Pike were the 2 players who swapped blows. There was no doubt about that. Mr. Stevens, who used to play a bit of non-league football himself, laying down the law. And a handshake, both players very lucky to escape, not even with a booking. Swindlehurst. James forward. Away by Bonds, but no, Painter! What a fine effort by little Ian Painter. It looked as though Bonds would get that ball clear, but Painter put pressure on him, and his swerving shot was heading to the top corner till it swerved away. Berry. Swindlehurst took it well. Devonshire. The challenge by Chamberlain, though. Forward by McCourtry. O'Callaghan. Martin's challenge. Here's Chamberlain. Set up the shot for James. It was a fine effort. Robbie James yet to score since coming to Stoke City in the summer. And he's furious because he feels that the goalkeeper got a touch on that shot. It certainly looked that way. It was laid on beautifully for him by Chamberlain. He really struck it powerfully. And did Parks get a touch? Goal kick the outcome. Painter. Chamberlain. Devonshire it was who stopped him making further progress. Dyson has come forward for the free kick, but it's short for McElroy. Now lifted into O'Callaghan. Brooking onto Berry's clearance, but McElroy intercepts. What lovely play. Thomas. That really was a superb effort and a fine save. McElroy did so well in the build-up. Lovely skills, laid it off to Thomas. That fine left-foot shot, and an equally good tip-over save by Parks. Berry and McCourtry in the centre, O'Callaghan on the near post, and Dyson on the far post. But it was Brooking who got it clear. Dangerous ball by Hampton. O'Callaghan turns it behind. An animated Richie Barker and Bill Asprey on the Stoke City bench. O'Callaghan. Walford clear. Robbie James now. And Berry. Some rather inelegant football being played, but no lack of effort. This is Thomas. Walford's challenge earns the corner for Stoke City. And West Ham in this first half, against the wind, and a battling Stoke City side, are up against it a little. O'Callaghan got up well, and McCourtry it was who lifted it over his own shoulder into the net. And West Ham are certainly up against it now. Corners are always a threat with Stoke City, and how well O'Callaghan climbed to flip that one onwards. McCourtry hooking the ball almost over his own shoulder, and Stoke City take the lead against the First Division leaders. Half an hour gone, Stoke City 1, West Ham 0, and in all honesty, no more than Stoke City deserved. Thomas. And here's Witten. Painter. Stewart's tackle. And the Stoke crowd, who were rather critical of their team when they were beaten 4-0 here by Watford in their previous home game, getting behind them now. Berry and James. Chamberlain on the right. was a fine indication of how much West Ham have been rattled by Stoke. O'Callaghan getting up well again, and Berry's header! Now Trevor Brooking really made the mistake that let Berry in then, but again it was O'Callaghan's height and ability on the near post which caused the danger. Brooking cleanly away this time. Painter back in. James. What a fine save that was by Parks. That must have been so difficult for the goalkeeper. There must have been half a dozen players between him and Robbie James who really hit that ball powerfully, and Parks made a marvellous save. Dyson clear, but only as far as Witten. Wanted too much time. Good play by Devonshire. Well, Thomas really stuck to his job well then. Very popular here at the Victoria Ground with that all-action, bustling style of his, Mickey Thomas. Denied Devonshire the cross then, but it is still a corner in the dying seconds of the half. Goddard. Devonshire. Straight against Berry. And the goalkeeper stranded from his line for a moment. And here's Painter. And couldn't keep it in. That's half-time. Before today, Stoke had lost 5 games, West Ham had won 6, but it hasn't looked like that at all. Stoke have really hustled the visitors, and the crowd well pleased at the half-time score. Brendan O'Callaghan, an important figure, and McCourtry's goal giving Stoke a 1-0 half-time lead. Well, the early results this season have placed Richie Barker, the Stoke manager, under a bit of pressure. He'll be delighted with the first half performance of his side today. Well, Stoke have a fine record against West Ham at the Victoria Ground. They've won their last 4 meetings here last season by 5 goals to 2. If they can keep the work rate going they showed in the first half, they could be on their way to another win. Mixture as before, the throw aimed at O'Callaghan, it came off the defender, but O'Callaghan was pushing the man behind him, Bonds. James winning it. And there goes Stewart and Thomas, who met once or twice in the first half in combat. Scene of the West Ham front men in the first half. Maybe looking for an improvement from Goddard and Swindlehurst. Here's Brooking. And the ball just wouldn't come to him. It does come to Witten. Handball was the claim, and the referee has given it. Or has he? The linesman pointing to the spot, and for a moment myself and the crowd thought that the verdict was a penalty. But in fact, it was presumably then offside. So a talking point in the early moments of this half. James, here's O'Callaghan. A little ball by McElroy to Thomas. Bonds met it. Tackle, and Hampton did well. Thomas is robbed though. James finding O'Callaghan. Chamberlain. Oh, He struck it firmly enough, but now West Ham on the counter-attack. Looking in possession. Devonshire. Luton is clear and unmarked on the right. Devonshire hasn't seen him. It may not matter anyway. It could be a superb goal, this. Fox with a spectacular save. And Devonshire threaded his way through the centre of the Stoke defence, played the 1-2, and the shot produced that save by Fox. John Lyle, the West Ham manager, has come down to the bench for this second half. McCaultrey let it through to Goddard and then brought him down, and that's a penalty. So the young man who had given Stoke the lead in the first half, responsible for giving West Ham the opportunity to equalise. He didn't realise Goddard was so close. When he did, it was too late, and his wild tackle brought Goddard down. No question, a penalty. So Ray Stewart, who scored his first goal of the season from the penalty spot last week against Notts County, lines it up on the spot again. He's also missed one this season, incidentally, against Coventry. But he doesn't miss that. The Ray Stewart style of penalty taking, hard and very, very firm indeed. Sadness for McCaultrey, but Stewart belting the ball almost into the centre of the goal. Fox going the other way. It was so hard, it went in anyway. Stoke 1, West Ham 1. Just coming up to an hour gone. Dyson. Away by Bonds. Be interesting to see now how the emphasis of the game changes. It's already altered. West Ham looking much more menacing and playing better football. Stewart overlapping. Good cross. Did it come off Berry? Yes, it did. Swindlehurst was right behind him. Stewart with the cross. And that's a corner. Martin at the back. It comes to Goddard. That was a fine effort. So the corner, in the end, clearing most of the players in the penalty area, but then coming on from the header to Goddard, whose shot flashed across goal. Push by Martin on O'Callaghan. And the header by Painter, a fine save by Parks. And in the end, it was Chamberlain who forced it home. How unlucky for Phil Parks. Parks had done so well. Painter's close-range header, producing a superb save. But when the ball came out, in that melee of players, Chamberlain was the quickest to react and forced the ball home. Stoke are back in front. So, from Stoke looking to be backpedalling, they are now back in front. On by Swindlehurst. It's a good ball. Goddard taking it well, and he's got Brooking with him. And in the end, he was knocked off his stride by McCaultrey's tackle. It was a good break. It looked promising for West Ham. And as Goddard tried to deliver it into the corner, McCaultrey tackled him. Chamberlain. James. Thomas gets the goal that will give Stoke surely a victory. And once again, you can but feel sorry for Phil Parkes. Robbie James with that shot along the ground. It looked to be heading into the corner. Parkes dived to his right and kicked it away, but it fell perfectly for Thomas to ram it into the roof of the net. 11 minutes to go. Stoke City 3, West Ham United 1. So poor Phil Parkes, who made in the first half 2 or 3 really good saves to deny Stoke when they were at their best, has now twice in the second half found that even though he's made a good save, he's been punished. That time by Thomas. O'Callaghan, I think he missed that actually, and Pike didn't. Berry. Chamberlain. I'd love to see him in possession. Painter. Good ball for Chamberlain. And plenty of players in the middle for him. Thomas on the far side should really have pulled it back then. Easy to be right from the stands, but as Chamberlain crossed, Thomas, if he'd seen Painter and O'Callaghan in the middle, would surely have fed the ball to them rather than try himself, but at least he gets a corner. 5 minutes remaining. Painter's corner, away by Brooking, to Thomas. A break on for Devonshire, perhaps. James working hard to get back, and did well. Martin coming forward in these final moments. And Thomas has worked himself into the ground. Devonshire. Here's Thomas again. He's in every corner of this pitch. Good ball too, O'Callaghan. Richard Barker would have been pleased with that. Even when you're 3-1 up, it's no time to try that kind of thing. Brooking finding Bonds. McElroy, lovely composure. Free kick, the foul by Bonds on O'Callaghan, handshake. 2 men who've had a fair old battle today. Chamberlain. Devonshire getting to him, and the cross not clear by Stewart. Painter. I think there's a message for the rest of the First Division here that if you hustle and bustle and work hard and don't allow West Ham to settle and have much possession, then you can beat them. And Stoke's performance was personified by these two, Mickey Thomas on the left and Ian Painter, who both worked so hard, as indeed the whole Stoke team did, for a very well-deserved 3-1 victory.
Tension for Stoke. Beating the league leaders must convince them that they're much better than recent results suggest, while West Ham will have felt disappointed to have fallen short of their own standards. And it still remains a mystery why some players do have their names taken and some don't. Now it's the turn of Luton Town and Aston Villa to entertain us, and it's not an easy result to predict, and that's how it should be. Your commentator is Barry Davis.
It was in this fixture last April that a last-minute penalty for Luton Town by David Moss brought light to the relegation tunnel, from which the dancing David Pleat emerged with delight before our cameras at Main Road the following month. A little calmer now, but still smiling, Pleat has seen his side make a fair start to their second campaign at the top, and once again he's able to put out the same 12 players. They're unbeaten here at Kenilworth Road, and in 2 of their matches they've scored 4 goals. Aston Villa are forced to make a change because Steve McMahon is suspended. And it's Des Bremner who comes in at number 10, with Gary Shaw, who's been out for 5 matches with a knee injury, on the substitutes bench. The referee is Ian Borrett, who comes from Eye in Suffolk, so he shouldn't miss much. It's a rather misty afternoon. Let's hope we see a match full of mellow fruitfulness. It's David Moss. Steen and Hill in the middle. Here's Steen. Walsh. Must have thought about it for a moment. And certainly Villa have got to be rather aware of the way Walsh turned them then. Colin Gibson went away looking a bit thoughtful. And Moss hits. Good save. Very good position too by Nigel Speke. Well, occasionally Elliott getting pulled. With didn't get off the ground then, and I don't think made any attempt to do so. A bit of inexperience then from 19-year-old Paul Elliott. He had the last say. Steen. Waters. There's room. Oh, that's a good shot, and he's a little unlucky. Swiftness of play by Mark Walters. Created the room and was only just the wrong side of the post. Steen. Turner. Bunn. Refrained from the obvious, but got caught. Donaghy. Horton. Hill going to the right this time. That's looking for Moss. Still one of the most telling weapons. The ball knocked over the fullback. Didn't quite succeed. Here's Bunn again. Mortimer. Good early ball from Bremner. And here's With. Up the inside of the post and away. And he doesn't even look daggers at it, but what a good move by Aston Villa. Started by Mortimer. Lovely first-time ball by Bremner that gave the attack width. The cross from Kerbishley, and the header so precisely directed by Peter With, but too close to the paint. Bunn. With. Unfortunate moment for Bremner to slip. Lovely control by Elliott. And this is Hill. Walsh with the ball nicely in front of him. Right on the edge. He's dead right, the referee. It was right on the brink, but certainly not inside. And how nice, although one shouldn't have to comment on it, how nice, not a word of protest from Luton. Fun is right at the back. Horton, and here is Moss. Fine stop. But he stayed very deep then, did David Moss. They still have plenty of time to hit the ball. Hill. Inside, outside. Certainly got hold of the ball, and Nigel Spink once more was well onto his 6-yard line. Free kick against With. The observation was not made to the referee. Moss. Turner had to dig it out a little bit. Hill had that time to look up. Bunn, has this put Steen in? Yes, it has. But he took so long. And Mortimer showing that it is possible to make a challenge from behind and win the ball. But Steen should not have given him the opportunity. Hill, Donachie. That's a trip by Moss. And we come to the end of an often pulsating first half, but one which has failed to put anything on the score sheet. Peter With came closest. The header that came back off the inside of the post, although the clearest opportunity could well have been that one right at the end that fell to Brian Steen, that he took too much time to make up his mind about. So half-time, 0-0. Well, certainly there's some money being spent in trying to persuade the chairman and chief executive of Luton Town to keep the club in Luton. Aston Villa get the second half away on a ground where they have never gained a league victory. This is their 9th visit. Hill. Steen. Moss. It's nicely done. Walsh on the 6-yard line. And the ball curling over the head of Steen and away from him from the deflection. Here's Morley. Mortimer. A good first half to Dennis Mortimer. Could be said of a number of players. Gibson. Kerbishley. Elliott. Walters. Good turn. Ball so often being nipped away from the would-be recipient. Elliott. Free kick against Dundee. Steen. Stevens. 2 against 2 here. This is Bunn. Penalty. Bunn pushed and pulled by Gary Williams. Well, that's football for you. All the intricacies of one-touch football that we've seen. And in the end, a long ball from the right back, Kirk Stevens, putting Bunn in a 2-man against 2. And some push and pull from Williams, in the opinion of the referee, produces a penalty. Spink facing Moss. Really superbly struck penalty. Penalty coming in the 50th minute. And the light of the scorer being mirrored in the reception that he's given. Mortimer. Gibson. And he got a knock in the face as he challenged from behind. Elliott. Oh, that could run for Moss. Williams again, but this time he's able to get goal side. Appeal for handball, surely accidental. Well claimed by Spink. And perhaps a pull there for Moss. Walsh making the run, and the pass a bit too wide. And Antish is coming on. Moss just having one more touch then, but with the leg well strapped up. So on comes Brady Antish, a man who will always have a place in Luton Town's club history, because he scored the goal which kept them in the First Division against Manchester City at Main Road. Bunn. Not a tidy game. In the crowd, Gordon Carnes, still recovering from a broken leg that he broke before the league season started, but expects to be back playing by Christmas. England and Aston Villa midfield player, of course. Steen. Oh, what a thump. Stevens who struck it. Well, he enjoyed it, and so apparently did Brian Horton. Certainly got hold of the ball, but too high. And Aston Villa going to bring Gary Shaw into the play. Roy McLaren there, Tony Barton's number 2. And it's Tony Morley who is replaced. Steen. Evans didn't know which way he was going. Elliott has come forward. And it was Kerbesley who saved it. Kerbesley who blocked from Bunn after Nigel Spinker made his first error of the match. He seemed to me to take his eye off the ball, but was rescued by Kerbesley. Stevens. A real charge in by Brian Horton. He's as cross with himself as with the referee, I would think, if he gets a moment for consideration. Well, if he doesn't know what he did, maybe when he watches in the evening he'll find out. Everybody forward for Villa, except Spink, and he's one out of his area. Gibson takes. Ormsby. Oh, dear. And how lucky can you get? Because he completely missed the punch. And then the ball was conveniently placed into his hands. Bunn. Walsh. And still. Just a matter of what is on the referee's watch. Hill. Well played. With Shaw. Waters was available. Kerbesley. Williams. Kerbesley. The points are Luton's, and the man who scored is the man who limps off. David Moss from the penalty spot. So a repeat of last year, and a success for Luton Town, applauded by the manager. And some very, very healthy applause from the biggest crowd of the season here. 12,700, and they've seen Luton win by 1-0.
Happy Luton, still unbeaten at home, though to be fair, Villa did their best and there wasn't much separating the teams. News time now with Bob.
It's always sad when a footballer is forced to retire through injury, but when that player is as talented, honest and popular as Steve Coppell, the news comes as an even greater shock. After nearly 400 games for his club, Manchester United, and 42 appearances for England, all with distinction, Steve has had to call it a day on the advice of the specialists who yesterday operated once again on his damaged left knee. The news of his premature retirement brought this tribute from England manager Bobby Robson.
Well, he had quality. Terrific worker, had a tremendous appetite for the game, wasn't he? I mean, he's a real committed player because he worked back, having thrown the ball in or looked to score goals, and that was the other good thing about him. I mean, Steve could always come up with a goal. He was a goal-scoring right winger, and I think when people asked him to play as an orthodox winger, he could do those things. He could score and cross the ball, but when asked to work back and tuck in and fill space and, you know, work hard to retrieve the ball once it was lost, I mean, Steve was never lacking, and he was just a wholehearted player, full of honest endeavour, a player's player, a manager's player, and I should think a crowd player.
Steve was certainly all of those things, and when I spoke to him this evening, he was trying hard to put on a brave face. He told me, "I've had a good career, I don't want pity." But when I asked him, had he shed a tear or two, the little man replied, "They've poured non-stop, and why not?" All in all, it's not been Manchester United's day, because at Norwich they were 3-0 up with 26 minutes to play, but then had to settle for 1 point only as the East Anglian side came back dramatically to draw 3-3. The hero for Norwich, teenager Louis Donowa, making his league debut and scoring the equaliser in the last minute. News tonight that Danish striker Jesper Olsen wants to play in the English First Division. Olsen said, "I'd be most interested to hear anything that Manchester United or Tottenham have to say when my contract expires with Ajax at the end of the season." Gary Rowell with a penalty provided the biggest surprise of the day as Sunderland beat Liverpool 1-0 at Anfield. West Ham still lead Division 1, but only by a point now from Southampton, 1-0 winners over Wolves. Ipswich go third after a 2-1 win at Coventry. The second division was the place for goals, 53 in all, and Brighton led the way with 7 against Charlton. Jimmy Case got a hat-trick. Ex-Brighton man Malcolm Poskett scored all 4 for Carlisle in their 4-1 win at Derby. Paul Petts got a hat-trick in 7 minutes as Shrewsbury came back to beat Leeds 5-1. And Kerry Dixon took his total to 11 with 2 more for Chelsea in the 3-2 win at Huddersfield. One result tonight in Division 4, Torquay 4, Doncaster 1, taking the day's total to 138, the best of the season. Pools only 6 score draws, telephone claims for 21 points, and the dividends moderate. The numbers 5, 29, 30, 36, 41 and 53. Now more action, and the biggest shock in Scotland on a day when the 3 leaders all lost their 100% records was the home defeat of champions Dundee United by a rejuvenated Rangers.
Good running by Redford. McKinnon is inside. There's McKinnon that slides to near him. Couldn't run onto it properly. That's in. McCoy's 1-0. It's still there, and it's in the second one. Sandy Clark, I think.
And it was Sandy Clark. Well, there's just time for the result of that high-quality Goal of the Month competition. The winner coming up in a moment, but first the winning order chosen by our panel. It was FDC, with Liverpool's teamwork and Kenny Dalglish's superb finish overtaken at the line by this unique goal scored by Glenn Hoddle for Spurs against Watford.
Hoddle with a beautiful piece of skill. What a magnificent goal by Glenn Hoddle.
The first postcard pulled out of the sack with the correct winning order of FDC was sent in by Mr. H. Bannister of Silver Birch Road, Birmingham. Well done, Mr. Bannister. The prize is yours, and well done too to those who created and scored those very special goals. And talking of special goals and special people brings us back to today's sad news concerning Steve Coppell. Unfortunately, they haven't yet made bionic knees to stake the strain that a modern footballer with a heart like Steve's puts on his joints, and those who begrudge them their wages might reflect what it's like to begin all over again at 28. Not quite the end of the world, though. 23 years ago, a previous PFA chairman was advised to retire with a worn-out knee injury. That was me, and I can tell you, Steve, there's still a lot left in life to enjoy. Not the least, for you, the memory of the total respect of everyone in football and magic moments like these. Good night.
Coppell on the right foot. Oh, what a superb shot! Stapleton's touch on and Coppell. Here's Wilkins. That's also a good ball, and Coppell is closing in. And that's hit the post and gone in. Wilkins. The shot was deflected off John Wilkins, a bit of trouble there, and a goal! Steve Coppell.
McElroy taken by Jimmy Greenough, on for Coppell. He did well! Oh, that's a brilliant goal! That is a superb goal by Steve Coppell.
Whiteside, oh, what a good turn. Oh, he left him in his wake there, Stapleton. And can Coppell drive one? What a goal!